Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. I want to turn some street art into a quilt. So if you want to check out that process, please stay tuned. So as a part of my quilt guilds, one thing that they do is they give out challenges each year. The challenge for this year is to create a quilt that's inspired by street art. And I looked online so that to see if I could find something that was interesting to me. And I finally came across this picture. I actually got it off of, I think it's the muralco.com. It's a street art company. I think they're in Arizona. And I was just really inspired by the bright colors and and the magic in, because it says magic, it says something. I don't know. I was just really inspired by it, and so I want to create a quilt based on this image. And I have kind of a plan. And since this quilt is actually due in June, I have to have it finished in June. Um, then I want to have it quilted, not quilted. I want to have it stitched together and have a top at the end of May, and then have the 3 weeks in June to get it quilted and bound. Okay, so I started with this inspiration, and I was trying to figure out how in the world I would recreate this quilt. So what I've decided to do is do a pixel quilt. So what I did is I've taken a sheet of graph paper and I've placed it over the image. So I don't know how well you can see that back there, but behind the graph paper is the image. And I'm going to create some individual pixels that I'll sew together. You can see the X's. I've already started the quilt, and so this is where the X's are the blocks that I've already finished. All right, and so what it's going to come up with is a lot of little squares that end up put together, make this, hopefully, create this with fabric. Now, I had to kind of decide what size I wanted to make them, and I've decided that I'm going to start with 3-inch squares, and then so that they'll finish at 2.5 inches. And to do that, I have created some templates, not necessarily templates, but some foundations. I'm going to use for my foundations squares of newspaper. So I've cut them. These are 3-inch squares, and when I calculated how many total blocks I need, I think it's 555 total blocks, and I've already cut a large amount of these squares. I think it's more than the necessary amount, but I just cut these out to start with. Some of the blocks will actually be solid, so I haven't really accounted for that. I'm just gonna go with it, and if I end up with have a solid block, I will back it with a piece of paper because I need to label exactly where it's gonna go in the quilt. Okay, so the only other thing I need, besides I have my graph paper here as my plan, and then I have my foundation pieces, my newspaper, and then from there I think I just need some scraps. So I pulled out several scraps out of a lot of different places, and I'll show you some of the pixels, but I'm going to do, this is kind of going to be a series so that I can spread the whole process out. Like I said, the quilt isn't due until June, so as today is February 27th, I actually have about 3 months to complete the quilt, and then about 3 weeks to get it quilted and bound. So let me show you a few of the pixels, and then I'll just show you this one. And of course it doesn't look like anything because you're just seeing individual squares. So hopefully when I put it all together, it'll look hopefully very similar to the finished project. And so each pixel, each little square is different because it's based on where it falls in the quilt or in the picture. And then These are a few more like little individual ones that I've created. Okay, you see we'll have a lot of pink. This one has some blue. So what I'm going to do as I make this quilt is I will from time to time document my progress so that we can, so that number one, I can stay on track, but also so that you can see that something like this can actually be done. So I'll show you how to do this hopefully in the next video. Please thumbs up this video, share it with your friends. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for more of this process. Bye!